Boruto just made one of the most disrespectful entrances in manga history. Bro really steps on Code's face like it was a doormat. The Code disrespect from Kishimoto is crazy. This guy could have been a crazy villain. He literally had infinite potential, but this guy just keeps catching L after L after L, and it looks like he caught some of that Kawaki smoke during the time skip, as he now has a slash through his left eye. But just look at Code's face. The only jutsu Code knows how to use is the copycat jutsu. Not only did he steal Gojo's whole flow, but now he's repping that scar through the left eye. But I'm not going to be talking about Code in this video. I'm discussing the fact that our boy Boruto quite literally appears out of thin air. This is something the community seems to be overlooking. Obviously the more interesting thing in that panel would be Boruto returning, but you already know I'm going to analyze this crap into the ground. That's just what I do. So essentially Boruto has just appeared out of nowhere. But this isn't Boruto just running through the village to save Sarada. This is actually much more complicated. So Konoha only detected Boruto's chakra after he appeared in front of Code and Sarada. And we can't just assume that Konoha's sensory team were just slacking and missed Boruto going through the village, because these guys have been on high alert for 3 years. And not only this, with Code invading the village, Konoha's sensory team would be working especially hard to detect unknown chakras. But not only that, Boruto's literally been living in their heads rent free. So my initial reaction was I thought that Boruto just erased his chakra so Konoha couldn't detect him. But then you have the problem with Kawaki. So when Kawaki decided to leave the village to confront Code, he was able to erase his chakra. But as he did this, Boruto was able to sense Kawaki's presence and track him down. This is likely due to their karmas being somewhat intertwined. So Kawaki and Boruto actually accelerated the karmic extraction, meaning that they were becoming Otsutsuki at a much faster rate. Due to this connection they are both able to sense each other likely through their karma. So if Boruto was erasing his chakra, then Kawaki would be able to sense Boruto entering the village. What's more is that Kawaki even stated that he would be the first to find Boruto when he eventually returns to the village, due to his ability to sense his presence. Yet Boruto was able to get into the middle of the village without even being sensed by Kawaki. Also, this presence sensing ability goes quite far, so Boruto can't just be traveling really fast. I think Boruto was able to sense Kawaki from like 40 kilometers away or something like that. Essentially, before Boruto's chakra was detected by the sensory team, Kawaki noticed his presence and went straight for Boruto, which confirms the fact that if Boruto had been lurking around the close proximity, then Kawaki would have been able to sense him. Therefore, the only option we really have left for Boruto getting into the village undetected is using some sort of teleport ability. My initial thoughts on what this can be is an ability that we've actually already seen before. So we know that using Boruto's karma, he can actually teleport to different dimensions. The first time we saw this ability was when Boruto did it against Isshiki. Boruto had no control or mastery over this ability at the time, and it was clear that without Kawaki he couldn't use this ability on command. But let's not forget, Boruto has been training for 3 years now, and I doubt he wouldn't have attempted to master this ability at some point during his training. It's literally perfect for his current situation. He's a target of the entirety of Konoha and likely all the other nations. So the only place he can realistically hide would be in some random village or area like the Snow Village, or one of the hidden Kara hideouts, or even in an alternative dimension. The reason that this ability is so broken is the fact that if Boruto realizes he is still no match for Kawaki, which I highly doubt, but he can just teleport away and continue to train in the background. But I kind of have like a problem with this idea, or 2 problems I guess. How would Boruto know when to teleport in to save Sarada? It'd be the biggest arse pull to say that it was just good timing, let's be totally honest. Also, it seemed when Boruto used this ability, it didn't seem like he could control where he's going to go into the normal dimension, or at least it was implied that he has no control over this. As when they returned from the dimension that Naruto fought Isshiki, they returned on top of the Hokage office, and I really don't think Boruto meant for this. Perhaps from training, Boruto was able to pinpoint where he actually wants to teleport to. Not only this, but he was training with the GOAT, Mr. Batman Sensei himself, Sasuke. And don't forget, Sasuke, when he had his Rinnegan, had the ability to teleport between dimensions. So Sasuke, with his experience, would likely be able to teach Boruto how to target the place he wants to teleport to, and hence how Boruto was able to appear above Code. So essentially, the ways to get around this kind of loophole of how Boruto going to know when to come into the village at the right time is through the Jougan. We were told that the Jougan can hear voices or sounds from other dimensions. So therefore, when Code appears, Boruto would have been able to sense or hear Code's voice talking to Sarada from the other dimension. Obviously, Boruto wouldn't have needed to intervene at any other point in the story because Sarada or the people that he loves are not in trouble. But now that he sees Sarada's in trouble and he feels like he's trained enough, he would have appeared in front of Code to battle him. Code also kind of implied that Boruto would be able to hear Sarada's screams from wherever he was. So maybe these guys already know that Boruto has the Jougan and knows roughly what these abilities can hold. There's the potential that Boruto's already fought Code, so Code has a rough idea of these abilities. So being so Code now has that scar over his left eye, it implies that he's either fought Boruto or Kawaki. And it does seem as though Boruto is now using a sword, so it makes sense as to how he scarred Ko's eye. But realistically, this entire theory is kind of a stretch, but it is still very possible. But my favourite theory on how Boruto can actually do this was through the Jougan. And I know, Boruto probably didn't unlock the Jougan just yet, especially as an off-screen ability, but if he did, the reason that it seems as though he just appeared was likely one of the Jougan's abilities. So in the anime, Boruto could sense openings to the new dimensions, but I just discussed why Boruto travelling in different dimensions doesn't really make sense. Instead, I think Boruto can now harness Momoshiki's ability to temporarily stop time. So Boruto's training was likely targeted at harnessing the full power of his karma. This means that he would be able to use that version 2 of the karma we saw against Code. You know what I find crazy is that we haven't even seen Boruto fight since that excursion with Code. We don't know whether his karma goes straight to V2 karma or anything like that. For all we know, Momoshiki could take over his body every time he does it. Essentially, Boruto may have already had complete control over his karma, so if he does have access to this power, due to the nature of karma, he will gain all of Momoshiki's abilities. This is because his genetic code now aligns with Momoshiki's. So everything we see Momoshiki do, theoretically Boruto should be able to do the same thing, similar to the situation with Kawaki and Ishiki. But obviously initially Boruto will have no idea how to use any of these things, so that is why this 3-year time skip was so important in him becoming so strong. We know that Momoshiki had this weird ability where he could almost pause time. The first time we actually saw this was when Momoshiki was defeated by Naruto and Sasuke, and he paused time likely to implant the karma onto Boruto before he was eliminated. Then we saw it twice in the fight against Code, once when Momoshiki took over Boruto, and the other time when Momoshiki was addressing the fact that Boruto was now 100% Otsutsuki. The thing is, stopping time on command is a completely broken ability, so the likelihood is that Boruto can't actually interact with anything whilst time is stopped, but he can just move around. As we saw with Momoshiki, when he pauses time, everything around him stops and likely he can't harm anyone whilst in this state. Furthermore, the reason he doesn't use it that much is because maybe it had some big drawbacks from using it. Otherwise, I see no reason that in all of his fights he wouldn't use this ability. But one of the drawbacks I see from this ability is perhaps Boruto can only use it once every 5 minutes. This would make it broken, but not to the point where Boruto just can't lose. It would lead to the idea that Boruto uses it for like 3 times in a row, and then on the 4th time, Kawaki realizes when the time is up and Boruto is going to use this ability. And this would allow him to counter Boruto every time he uses it. It would show a bit more of a strategical side between Boruto and Kawaki's fights, which I feel like we've been lacking a lot in Boruto's fights recently. But my final theory on how Boruto appeared out of nowhere actually isn't teleportation. Again, so much has been left unexplained, so this is purely speculation, but Momoshiki seems to have the ability to see into the future. And since Boruto and Momoshiki can now share the same thoughts, Boruto is able to see the same visions as Momoshiki. So my thought process is that Boruto saw that Sarada was in trouble and that Code had appeared in the village, and thought it was the right time to come and help and save Sarada. The times when Boruto can see into the future seem random, and maybe it was just that one event which Momoshiki could see, but Boruto during the Ada arc, where they were like babysitting Ada and Damon, saw visions about his future. So if this happens frequently over the course of the 3-year time skip, Boruto would have a good understanding of what events will occur and when they will happen. Hence, how he was able to show up with perfect timing. This could be used in parallel with his ability to teleport to make sure this was a foolproof plan. Boruto is a prodigy, and he likely came up with this plan alongside Sasuke to prevent some of the events from occurring. Boruto will have likely been able to see everything Kawaki was working on, similar to Ada's Senrigan. But on the contrary, due to her promise, Boruto is a completely unknown entity for Kawaki. Kawaki has no idea Boruto's new abilities, strength, or anything about him. Therefore, I am under the assumption that this is how Boruto will gain the upper hand in their upcoming fight. But their upcoming fight won't be a long one. I think somehow it will get broken up, and believe it or not, I think that it will only last like half a chapter. What will likely happen is Boruto roughs up Kawaki a bit, realizes he isn't strong enough, and teleports away. Then maybe we can get some context about new abilities and all that other stuff. It would be very similar to Naruto Shippuden, where we started with a fight with Sasuke and Naruto, where Sasuke destroys everyone, but doesn't quite kill them. Then Sasuke goes away, and we find out a little bit more about the time skip and the new abilities, and then all the characters start to train again. But that is all for this video. If you did enjoy this manga theory / discussion, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more Boruto related content. Also, leave your thoughts on Boruto's new ability in the comments down below. And with that all said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.